Overwhelmed with online or just wanting to learn more about how you can build a successful business amidst all of the self-appointed gurus, big buzzwords and empty promises? The Breaking Digital podcast by Doyle Bueller tells you exactly what smart entrepreneurs need to know to escape the clutter, get clear of the confusion, and pass the bullshit of building and growing a successful business online. It's about digital leadership and delivering the best value for your business online to your audience. Now, here's your host and author of the book on digital leadership and online marketing, The Digital Delusion, Doyle Bueller.
Hello and welcome to Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own online. I'm Doyle Bueller, and I am so excited to be bringing you a special guest today. I'm really looking forward to helping you learn more about what you can be doing online and helping you to do it better. And if you have any comments throughout the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter at Doyle Bueller with the hashtag #OwnOnline. You can also find the resources that we talk about, as well as the podcast for download on iTunes or thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon and welcome to Breaking Digital Podcast. My name is Doyle Bueller, and today I've got an amazing guest who's done some just brilliant things with entrepreneurs from around the world, has been working social media like magic, and making a lot of things happen online. And I'm really excited to introduce Nathan Chan. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Doyle. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, my man.
Well, thank you. So tell us a bit about yourself, Nathan.
Yeah, so I run a digital media company called Foundr, Foundr. It's founded without the E. We decided to take the E out because it's kind of tech and cool. And we started off as a digital magazine on the App Store, targeting mobile and tablet devices about entrepreneurship. And we cover all sorts of things entrepreneurship, and we're targeting really aspiring novice stage, early stage startup founders and young entrepreneurs with any of the content we produce. So we started off as a magazine. I started the magazine March 2013, so we've been around for about 3 years. And as time has gone on, actually, I started the business while I was working my day job and built it up and to replace my income and operating costs in my day job and for the business. And I left my day job, and now we're starting to move out and roll out all these other assets underneath the brand, like training courses, a membership side, rocking social media channels, rocking blog and high traffic website, and all these other things. So it's become much more. We've got a radio show, a podcast. So it's become much more than just a magazine, and essentially an entrepreneurial brand, an entrepreneurial content powerhouse, a media company. And that's me in a nutshell, dude.
Oh, excellent. And what did you do before that then? Like what got you started on the entrepreneur journey?
So before that, I was, oh geez, I've only had two full-time jobs. I'm 29 now, and my first full-time job after I finished uni was working as an IT consultant at an accounting firm, because my first degree was in IT and business, so it was business IT. And then I moved to another company called Intrepid Travel and did IT support there, and that was my last ever official job, a 9 to 5 job. And I was just doing IT. But during that time when I was working that job, I was working there for about 3, 4 years. That job, I also did a master's of marketing.
Oh, excellent. And what was it that sort of cued you into, hey, I can be doing this on my own. I want to be, living the dream. How did you kind of come up with that and the start that you did?
Yeah, so it to be honest, Doyle, I read a couple of books, like The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, or
Love that
Rich
one.
Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and it just kind of opened up my mind to what's possible out there and what people are doing, and I started hearing some stories. So that entrepreneurial seed, or kind of going off and doing my own thing, that seed had kind of been planted. probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, and in my early 20s, and I was just kind of fumbling around, just trying to find my purpose, trying to find doing work that I was passionate about. And, I just got so frustrated, man. I was doing work, and I remember, especially one day, I'll never forget, I was walking, doing my daily grind, just walking to the train station. And I just remember thinking to myself, walking up this hill to go into the station, just thinking to myself, you know what? Like, there must be so much more to this than life. Like, I feel inside of me that I was destined for so much more. I just didn't know what that was. So I started trying things, man, and I just kind of fell into what I do now. And when I first started, to be honest, I never thought that Foundr would be what it is today. The platform serves over 1 million plus entrepreneurs across all of our channels every single month. The company's growing extremely fast, and I never thought it would be something that was bigger than me. I never thought that when you create a company, at first, to be honest, Founder was just maybe just a lifestyle business, but
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's become much more than that, and we're a fast growth startup. So yeah, just kind of fell into it, dude, and
Oh,
just out of
that's
sheer
yeah.
frustration became really hungry. So doing work that I was not passionate about is what fueled the hunger. And then when I just was testing and trying to find things and just ended up launching this magazine that hilariously, in the first couple of months when I launched this magazine, I was still looking for a marketing job. And, I was sort of taking my iPad to the job interviews to try and get a marketing job. So you can see how much things have changed, even when I launched the magazine. So it was not planned, and that I'm on right now was not planned. And now I'm thinking like 100 times bigger, and I do have a decent pathway the next 3 4 years mapped out. But back then, no, had no idea.
Well, what do you think kind of caused or sort of coalesced, I guess, towards Founder being the success that it came out to be? Like, you obviously struck a chord with entrepreneurs and startup and the whole um, building a business scene. What do you think sort of were the triggers to say, hey, this is a really cool idea, and then having all those people just kind of get on with it and start to read it and like it and love it and that sort of thing?
Um, I think it's been a lot of listening, you know? I think it's been a lot of listening and a lot of learning, dude. There's no real secret sauce here than I've identified a need, and I'm selling something that people want to buy, like the stuff that our products at Founder are things that people want to buy, and we're listening, and we're producing content that we know is good because we know what people want, because we listen to what people say. And I'm very, very obsessed with learning and listening to podcasts and speaking to people in our community and speaking to other entrepreneurs, and I just know what works, dude. I really like, I know this space extremely well, and I just keep beating on my craft, and I'm extremely hungry because I was working in a job that I utterly hated, and then I found something I loved, and I guess you could say I have a little bit of an obsessive personality. It's not ADD because I have insane amounts of focus. Like, I have many opportunities to start other businesses and all this other crazy opportunities, build my personal brand. I don't really actually care about any of that. So yeah, that's what I'm super, super focused on. So with insane amount of focus and a obsession with learning, and I'm pretty good at networking with other people and connecting with other people and serving first and asking later and building up relationships with super successful people, and just being extremely hungry and just knowing what people want by listening to what they're saying allows us to do what we do. But if you want me to go even deeper, I can, around like the core elements of what I believe makes founders successful. Would you like me to go?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, I would
yeah. So
love to
like an
hear that.
overarching view is me as the leader of the company. That's kind of how I'm driving it. But there's some key elements that I've done on purpose that is helping fuel the growth of the business. The first one is we're a content powerhouse, right? So we have to produce great content. That goes without saying. You can't our content is our product. You can't polish a turd, right? So I'm very, very focused on listening to what other people want. I'm very, very focused on creating great content. And what does great content mean to us right now? It can be in forms of a podcast, whether it can be a super in-depth podcast, but the most important thing with great content is it has to be actionable. It has to be strategical, tactical. People love that stuff. People want to be able to listen to a podcast and take something away and learn. People want to read a blog post, take something away and learn. Listicles, these top 5 articles or any of that other crap, like, people don't care, man. Like, that doesn't change your life if you read an article like that. And, we just want to create content that is so good that people want to share it. So, that's the first fundamental core thing that we do at Foundr. Everything that we produce has to be extremely actionable, and people have to be able to learn from it. And there's plenty of other sources out there that do great content, whether it's a podcast. I look at Pat Flynn's podcast, great podcast. He gives away, he really delves deep and gets his audience so much gold, and he gives it away for free. Another, medium that we could look at in terms of blogging, I'm really liking what the guys at The Hustle are doing at the moment in our space. They're killing it, and they produce great content. Or Buffer, or my friend Dan Norris at WP Curve, or Noah Kagan and the guys at SumoMe. They produce great content. So I'm always looking at what other people are doing and really paying attention and focusing. And they're just some great examples in our niche and market, in the entrepreneurial startup niche, serving this audience and market. Those guys are creating great content, and we're just following suit. Same with Tim Ferriss. Long form, really, really actionable stuff. So we produce really, really valuable content. That's the first thing. We produce epic content. The second thing that makes, I think, Foundr successful is that we have a very big importance on branding and design. So much to the point that it makes us stand out. And that's something I'm very obsessed with. I love great design. I spend ridiculous amounts of money on great design, and it shows. It shows so much to the point that if somebody found our stuff, they take a second look. If somebody found our stuff, it it looks good, and it's cool, it's funky, it's fresh. People get taken serious. Like, people will take our brand seriously. So any pieces of collateral that we put out, that's what we're always trying to aim for, especially public facing stuff. Our website, our cover art, any social media content, anything that we put out, it has to look good. Our branding. It's something I'm very, very passionate about, and it's a reason that we're standing out and getting cut through, because, like you said, there's a lot of noise out there. This is how we're getting cut through. And then the last thing that we're doing, well, there's 2 more things. One more thing that we're doing is we're connecting with influencers in our niche and market, and showcasing them. Showcasing Richard Branson, showcasing Tony Robbins, showcasing Barbara Corcoran, Ariana Huffington, all these other rock stars and influencers in our industry, the top, thought leaders on entrepreneurship and startups in the space. We're either getting them on the podcast or featuring them on the front covers of the magazine, and we're blasting it everywhere. So it doesn't have it doesn't become it doesn't when someone finds our stuff, automatically the content's good, the design is great, and we're interviewing rock stars and influencers, and we're aligning the Foundr brand with these influencers. So how much trust does that build straight away, bro? You don't even need to think that these guys are legit, that these guys create great stuff, because we've already shown you that this is great stuff. All you need to do is read it, or hit the play button, or read the magazine, or whatever, right? So, you know, that's something that is very, very important, and we showcase that everywhere. We showcase the influencers that these guys are almost becoming ambassadors for the brand. If we interview a super successful entrepreneur that everyone knows, like a Gary V or someone, we it's like a it's like a hidden exchange of street cred. We had Gary V on the front cover of the magazine and on the podcast. Then if somebody
Yeah, I saw
so then if
that.
somebody
Yeah.
sees the magazine for the first time, everyone knows Gary V. It's like, boom, well, okay, well, this entrepreneurial brand, these guys are legit. These guys must produce valuable content because why would Gary come on? Why would Gary take the time to be interviewed? They wouldn't even think that far ahead. So it's like, I like Gary. These guys must be cool. This is great branding. These guys must be cool. Oh, I'll read this one piece of content. Wow, these guys must be cool. These guys know me. And then I guess the last thing, Doyle, is I'm very obsessed with growth hacking and marketing. And we just have a lot of good strategies. We're good marketers, man. We're very aggressive on list building. We know our platform that we're playing in, dude. We know that if we want to grow a business like this, you live and die by your email newsletter and the size of your email newsletter, the size of your email database. So I've built up our email subscriber base to over 200,000 people in the past 16, 17 months, man, like under 2 years. Not many people can do that because I'm very
Excellent.
obsessed with
Yeah.
that. So how do we do that? We do a lot of that on Instagram, from our website, from our podcast, other lead magnets, paid traffic. So we're mastering all these other elements of what it takes to build a good business, and the kind of business that we're building. And yeah, we give away our best stuff for free, and we give away a lot of it, and builds trust. People come onto the email list, and we give you a ton of gold. And yeah, so all of those things, those 4 or 5 things that I've just shared really encompasses what is growing the business and what
Yeah, no,
differentiates us, and is giving us the traction that we're getting. But we're only, I must admit, Doyle, I don't want to, blow my own horn or any of that kind of stuff. We're only scratching the surface, and I think there's a lot of work to be done. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. That was a really deep, deep question. An interesting, I guess, app announcement in the last couple of days was Facebook sort of rejigging their live broadcasts and that sort of thing. And really, it's coming down to, most companies, and not just agencies and supporting companies, but most companies need to become a media
Mm.
agency. Right? They need to deliver content. They need to deliver ideas. They need to deliver insights and inspiration. Do you agree with that, or is it just kind of one of those other things that Facebook is doing?
No, I agree with that. It's the way things are moving. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, they all want to encourage and enforce live, kind of candid kind of video. And video's always been powerful, man. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, I got a buddy that I train it with at the gym. I trained at the gym every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. And he's like super jacked dude, right? And he only recently started his business, and we reconnected. We were friends a long time ago. We reconnected, and we trained together at the gym for the past 6 months because I need to, I work so hard. I need to focus on my health and well-being, right? And here's the thing, right? I said, you help me get in good shape, and I'll help you with the business and all those kinds of things, and we'll go there. And like, here's the thing, we were talking about, he had a problem. I said, dude, he had a problem with his funnel, selling, and he's got a local business, brick and mortar business, and he had a problem selling, and he's getting around, 60 leads a month. And I said, I just started breaking down the funnel with him, and I said, dude, you know, um, how many of those leads do you close? How many people actually book in? To how many phone numbers do you get, et cetera, et cetera. And then actually, what it came down to, I said, dude, like, let's go to the very top part of the funnel. How many leads? Like, they're all coming through a landing page. What are you converting that landing page at? And he's like, 10%. And I was like, dude, are you serious? I was like, man, if we can double that, which I believe we can easily, like a lot of our landing pages convert at like 50% plus. I was like, dude, if you can double that or triple that, with double or tripled your leads, you're gonna have so much business that you won't even be able to keep up. I was like, this is what you're gonna do. And I looked at the landing page, it's like, man, scrap all that crap. Don't worry about the text, or make it very minimal, and just chuck a video in there, because videos are a great way to build rapport with your audience. And he hasn't done it yet, but I know it's going to crush. Like, it's a very personal kind of business, a local based business, and I just think it'll do really, really well. And I think video is very, very key, not just for creating content to help people, but also as a way and means to sell as well. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, no, it is. So how would a business become, what advice could you give a business to become like a media agency to kind of get out there, produce that content, produce the videos, whatever it is that they need to connect with their audience? What would you recommend would be some of the steps they could take?
I think start small and try and get as much try and repurpose that content as much as you can. So if you want to post it on Facebook, you will have posted it on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, wherever, and then also you want to turn that into a blog post almost, and have a blog post there as well. So whatever content you produce, you want to get as much leverage for it as possible. So for us, even example, I just did an interview, which is why we jumped on the call a little late. I just did this interview and with a guy called Jim Quick, absolute boss. Like all the biggest like movie stars, like all these high performers, like Elon Musk, Will Smith. They all get him to teach them how to memorize things faster and read faster. Yeah, yeah.
Really? That's a business?
Dude, he's
Cool.
crushing it, man. Like, yeah, he's a
Yeah.
freak. Like, he's an absolute weapon, right? This was a crazy interview, right? But here's where it gets interesting. That one interview, I will turn it into a podcast episode. We recorded it on Skype. I'm just here in my home office, man. I'm doing back-to-back calls. I'm still in my dressing gown. And, we'll turn that into a podcast interview. We'll turn it into a blog post. We'll turn it into a range of tweetables and quotables for all of social. We'll mail it out to our list and we'll turn it to a magazine feature, which will be on the front. I don't think we'll see. We'll work out whether it's front cover or not. I'm not sure yet. We usually map out front covers, but this one was so good, I might make it a front cover. And then, lastly, we'll put it as we can, repurpose that interview and chop and change it up and post it on like entrepreneur.com or Huffington Post or wherever we have all these other guest author logins. So that one piece of content, me speaking to Jim for about 45 minutes, can be put out to like 7, 8 different outlets or assets or channels, and the technology is going to do the work for us. Once it's out there, it's up to like the content. The data doesn't lie. If it gets no shares, or if it doesn't take off, then there's something missing. What's missing? You know what I mean? So you know you can use the technology to do the work for you, which is the beautiful thing about the internet, especially when you're doing content marketing. So, yeah, that's where I think people should start. Start with one platform. If you want to get into video, then try and be consistent. That's another thing. Test the platform, see if you get some traction, see if you can like send people somewhere or have a reason for creating the content, make it relevant to the product or service that you want to sell, make it extremely valuable, and then also once you've tested it and if it does, show results, never give up, never stop, be consistent. That's another thing that I probably should mention that I forgot to. That's really helped with the growth of the business, Doyle. Is we never stop in terms of once we commit to putting our content onto a channel, we never stop. The magazine, for example, we produce a monthly issue and we launch it at the middle of every month. We've been operating for 3 years. We've never missed a shipping date. When we launched the podcast, which was over 17 months ago in November 2014, we've produced a weekly episode every single week, and we mail it to our list every Thursday, and we push it out across all the different networks, iTunes, etc., every single Thursday. Same with our blog. Every single Tuesday, I know a year from now, every single Tuesday, we will produce a article in depth, super in depth for our audience. We'll mail it to our audience and it'll be posted on the blog and all through our social. On our Instagram page, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter, every single day we will produce content and serve our audience. So, yeah, that's something to think about as well, Doyle. It's all about building that snowball effect. It's very, very key. Um, and
It
the
is.
consistency.
How do you sort of how do you sort of prevent yourself getting caught up in that snowball itself? When a new social channel comes up and, oh, I should be on here and, oh, I should do
Yeah,
that.
don't worry.
Like that's one of the biggest
Yeah,
questions we
yeah, don't
get.
worry. So So here's the thing, you wanna focus on one channel at a time. This is the very, very big thing. Focus on one channel at a time, master that channel, and then move to the next one. You can re-syndicate it out and not focus on it. For example, Doyle, we don't really focus on our Facebook page, but it's still, it's got 20,000 likes or something along those lines, right? That comes from us just producing content there, doing Facebook ads, and like, as a byproduct, people like our page. But we're not really focused on Facebook, but we still put the content out there. It's all running on by a robot. We don't even touch it. So, we're still replicating, we're still reutilizing the content, putting it out and on these platforms. We're not focused on it. For us, we had a big emphasis on focusing on Instagram, and that's been a beast for us in terms of customer acquisition. We've grown that from 0 to 700,000 plus followers in the space of, oh, geez, 16, 17 months, and that's a channel that we're focused on. So
Yeah,
now we move to
that's
the next channel. What is it gonna be? Is it gonna be Pinterest? Is it gonna be Snapchat? Just focus on a couple at a time, master it, and then move to the next one. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing.
so where are you headed next then?
Hard to say, I was talking to, someone, David, in my team yesterday, and, you know, we haven't started on this whole Snapchat thing, for a few reasons. We will, and we'll test it out, and we'll try and master it because that's what Gary told me to do, and I listen to everything that guy says because he's an absolute weapon. Uh,
He's brilliant. Yeah.
but I think, to be honest, Doyle, we should be focusing more on mastering, our blogging, like, the platform, of blogging, and getting really good at content in that sense because that's our bread and butter, man. Like, I don't think we've truly cracked it. Like, we cracked the code with Instagram. We're doing pretty well with our podcast. We cracked the code with the magazine. Haven't The podcast is a long game, and I would say we haven't cracked the code with the podcast, but it's doing pretty well. That's probably about, if you give it to a ranking out of 100, that's probably about 80. In regards to our content, we get 100 uniques, 100K uniques a month, and I'd like that to be at least 500,000 by the end of this year. We haven't really cracked that content piece, in terms of blogging. So I want to master that. I think, I don't care what everyone else says. I think, that's got to be a channel we definitely focus on. Snapchat and Pinterest, those two interest me, the most. What in terms of what's next, but the biggest focus I think for us needs to be cracking, you know, generating ridiculous amounts of traffic with content marketing as a platform for blogging.
Yeah. And what do you think isn't working very well or hasn't worked very well for you?
Um, you know, I think Twitter. Like, are we talking social channels, or what? Talking
Anything.
context?
Yeah, social channels or yeah, some campaigns or whatever the case may be.
There's heaps of things that don't work well for us, man. We just gotta test all the time. But yeah, look, I
Yeah.
think we're probably not utilizing our Twitter or Facebook very well. I heard you can drive good traffic using that, but yeah, look, I don't believe with the amount of content we produce every week that the traffic we get really justifies it. So I could say, yeah, look, if we were to talk about the content, the guys, Jonathan Tate, our editor and content manager, they're doing an amazing job. Don't get me wrong; those guys are crushing it. Like, we're producing some really, really amazing pieces and brilliant content. So we've got that part down pat. But I think the growth hacking part, the promotion part, of that content, in terms of blogging and actually really yielding and mastering search and all that kind of stuff, and just generating ridiculous amounts of traffic to the Founder website. I don't think that's not really working as well as it could or should, or that I'm happy with just yet. That I say we
Yeah.
cracked the
Okay.
code.
Yeah, well that makes sense. I mean, you gotta work through a lot of things too, and as you mentioned, focus is super key. So you can't be everywhere,
No,
right?
no, you can't.
Yeah. So just kind of quickly wrapping up, how do you actually get somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk to be on the cover of your magazine?
Yeah, so I get this question asked a lot, man. We did write an in-depth blog post called foundrmag.com/get interviews. So foundrmag.com/get interviews with an S. And if you go there, we wrote like an in-depth blog post because we get asked this question a lot. So this is the thing, Joel. Every single question that we get asked more than a couple of times, we'll write a blog post on it or we'll create content around it, you know? So, yeah, we just revealed our whole process, dude. But a big part of it, to answer your question, is one, speaking to the right person. You got to find the gatekeeper. Like for example, this is an example that didn't take off, but it had all the opportunity to. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So, for example, Jack Dorsey is coming to Melbourne to do the launch of his company, not Twitter, his other company. It's a point of sale company called Stripe. No, not
Stripe.
Stripe. It's
Stripe?
I'm super embarrassed because I've forgotten the name. Square. Yep, Square. So it's
Square.
a point
Okay.
of
Yeah.
sale
Yeah.
company, killer company, right? So
Yeah.
they're launching here in Australia, and he's coming down to for that launch. So he's during that time he'll be looking for press, and he would have hired Square would have hired a PR company to run that launch. So I got to find that PR company. You got to find the gatekeeper. You got to find. So here's the two key things: find the person that is the gatekeeper, the person that says yes or no. Find out if they're looking for press. So, for example, Gary, I've been waiting to interview Gary for a long time, and he had his book come out. So I knew it was the perfect opportunity. And his team actually came to me when teeing up press. But that's how I'm getting all these interviews: the Richard Bransons, the Tim Ferrisses. You got to find when they're looking for press. You got to find the right gatekeeper, and then you just got to pitch. And what's helping us is the magazine. The magazine having the cover. You play on someone's ego, that works too. And yeah, a combination of that. And now we have a lot of social proof and we have a decent sized platform to justify the ask. And we've just built up that momentum, Doyle.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Excellent stories, and thank you for sharing them with us. You also wanted to give a gift, a lead magnet to our audience that sort of can kind of tell them a few of these tips and tricks that you've talked about.
Yeah. Look, so the best place to find us is if you go to foundrmag.com. We've got a ton of content there. If you want to know more about Instagram in particular, you can go to foundrmag.com, foundrmag.com/free, FREE. That would be fantastic. That's a great place to, find more about what we do.
Okay, excellent. And any sort of closing words of wisdom? Hey, what can you do with your business online?
Dude, in regards to words of wisdom, I would just say this: focus on one channel at a time, focus on mastering that one channel at a time, and try and learn from as many people as you can. And part of that learning piece is and connecting with other people is it's all about serving first and asking later.
Excellent, excellent advice. Serving first and asking
Yeah.
later. Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much, Nathan. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for all the listeners, and we really appreciate the time that you've spent with us, Nathan. So, thanks again, and it's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me, dude. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Nathan. And for our audience, you can get download the transcript from thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast, where we have all the episodes, and you can also download the latest episode from iTunes as well. And that's it for this show, and I will see you online. Thank you very much for listening to Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own online. If you have any comments on the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter @Doyle Bueller with the hashtag #OwnOnline. I would really appreciate it if you could share this podcast with your network, as I'm sure they will get some value from it for building their successful business online as well. You can find the resources that we talked about, as well as the transcript and full podcast for download on thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast or on iTunes or on SoundCloud. I'm Doyle Bueller, and I will see you online.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Digital with Doyle Bueller. While he goes and makes a sandwich, you can find all of the notes, links, and details on this podcast by visiting thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. Go on and click that now. www.thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. I'll definitely click that. If you'd like a free copy of the book, The Digital Delusion, How to Overcome the Misguidance and Misinformation Online, just send an email to doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. See you online.